Hi, greetings. Welcome from Papago Park here outside of Phoenix. And Papago is a city park. It is just on the outside. It's right next to the zoo here in Phoenix. And it is a big sandstone rock that has a hole in it. And we'll attach some pictures here so you can see it. That the Indians used back in about the 1400s as a clock calendar device to be able to tell when the winter and the summer solstice was. So we came up here and hiked, and this is just one of the outcroppings along this rock to do our Thoughts from on the Road today. So welcome to RV for Jesus and Thoughts from on the Road. I'm Nathan. Thanks for joining us today. Thought is a continuation from last week about having peace. In a world that is full of chaos and anger and hatred, we as Christians can have peace, and it's our responsibility to show that peace. David said several times in both Samuel and in the Psalms that God was his rock and his foundation, his salvation, his fortress. And that's what Christ is for us. God is for us today too. We don't have to be afraid if we keep our eyes upon him. He is our rock. He knows the beginning from the end. He knows what's going to happen next week. We don't have to be afraid or not at peace, because we can have peace through God, through Jesus. Jesus said, remember last week, that I have come to give you peace. I'm going to leave you with peace. And we can have that peace, but we have to stay focused on him. I want to use the example of Peter. Remember when Jesus was walking across the Sea of Galilee, and the sea was troubled and tossing about, and the disciples were out in a boat, and they saw Christ walking across the ocean, or the sea, and they were afraid at first, and Christ said to them, fear not, it's just me. And Peter said, well, God, Lord, if it's you, bid me come walk on the ocean with you. And so Jesus said to him, come. And Peter jumped out of the boat, and he started walking across the water to Jesus. And then all of a sudden, Peter remembered where he was at, and he got caught up in what was around him. And that's what happens to us. We get caught up with what's going on around us. And Peter took his eyes off of Christ, his focus off of Christ, and what happened? He started to sink into the ocean. He got looking at the waves and the wind, listening to the wind, and seeing what was around him, and he began to fall and began to sink. And we cried out for Christ and said, I'm sinking, help me. And Jesus held out his hand and lifted him up, and both of them walked back to the boat on the water. And that's how our peace can be, if we but keep our focus on Christ, the author and the finisher of our salvation. The Bible tells us in Philippians that he which has begun a good work in you is able to finish it. He's able to keep us no matter what the circumstances around us. We as Christians just need to remember to keep our focus on him. All right? That's our thought from the road today. I want to tell you, have a good time, enjoy life, but remember, in life, to keep your focus on the Lord, no matter what bumps or rattles or hiccups come your way. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good day.
An extra bonus this week, since you watched the video and now we're adding this to the end of the video, is an RV tip or an RV hack. I don't know about anybody else, but I often fight with hoses and cords to get them wound up, to get them put away. And this is a hack that not only can you use for your RV, it's real effective with the RV, but you can also use it at home. I know at home in your sticks and bricks house you have a hose reel, or even a cord reel maybe, for your hoses, but with the RV sometimes we don't have that, or we have to manually wind them up and put them around your arm or however. And this is something extra or something neat you can do with little expense and a little bit of effort to be able to wind up your hose or even your shoreline, your power line that connects to your shore power. So what you do for about $3.50, $4 is you go to Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever your store is, and you get yourself a 5-gallon bucket. Just a little 5-gallon bucket. And then, if you have it, a hole saw for your drill, or if you don't, just use a regular drill bit and drill some holes around, and you make a hole in the bottom of the bucket on the side, just like that. As you can see, I've cut a hole out there already. And then what you do is you take your hose and you use your bucket as your reel box. So what I normally do is I'll take the hose and I'll stick it through 3 or 4 feet so that I have enough hose to connect to the water. And then I'll start to wind the hose into the bucket. And once I get it started, you can come over here and see what I'm doing. You can just actually turn the bucket and it winds itself. And once in a while you have to push down on the hose to get it all in there. Now I'm using a 25-foot hose, but I have actually 60 feet of hose, water hose that I use. I use a 35-foot hose and I use a 25-foot hose. That way, if we need a little bit extra room to connect, if the water's in the back of the RV and my water hookup is in the front of the RV, I have enough hose to be able to connect to the water. So anyways, you just continue to wind this up, as you can see, and it's no effort at all to wind it up. Now, the 60-foot of water hose that I have all fits nicely into this bucket. My hose here wants to be a little difficult with me today, but that's okay. And it just winds right into it, just like that. Now, when I'm ready to use the bucket, I'll take, and as you can see, I have a quick connect on this end. It makes it easier to connect and disconnect to my splitter in the back. Come on back and I'll show you what I do. As you can see, I have my water filter here. I'll take the quick connect, plug it into the base of my water filter, so that stays there. My buckets can stay right here next to the water outlet, and then I'll take the loose end of the hose and just quickly and easily pull it out of the hose and connect it to my water. As you can see, with my shoreline, which is right there, my power line is connected right here. We can follow it back. Now my power line is all the way stretched out because we're a little bit away from the power connection. But I use the same type deal, except I use a red bucket for this because it's a power line. A little bit bigger hole so the end of the plug will fit through it easier. And I do the same thing with that. And all 25 feet of my power line, even though it's a thicker cord, fits into that bucket very easily. So there's your hack for today. Like I said, you can use that for extension cords at home, for your water hose at home. You don't have to buy one of those reels. They keep breaking down. I know mine does, or the cord gets tangled up. In here, the cord doesn't get tangled. It's an easy pull out to hook in, an easy wind up. Matter of fact, just turn the bucket and it winds itself up. Your RV hack for today. Thanks for joining us again. Have a great day.